You are listening to Shameless Stories. This is Nicola Humber, founder of the Unbound Press, publishing imprint for magical unbound women and proud sponsor of this podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shameless Stories, the podcast that unlifts the lid on shame and helps people to step through that shame and embody who they truly are. And I'm so excited, my hands are going, to invite one of my soul sisters, Yolandi Boshoff, onto the podcast today. And the thing is, we were making magic before we even joined, so I'm really sorry. I'm hoping we've saved some for you. But I'm absolutely stoked to have you here with me today, Yolandi. Do you want to share a bit about what you do?
Yes, and thank you so much, because I was like, we need to stop talking now and press record because there's too much good shit flowing through here. So my name is Yolandi Boshoff, and so the official title that I give myself is a soul truth weaver and a dragon priestess. So I work exclusively with dragon energies and elemental dragon energies, and part of my work is to weave together the soul truth that you hold within yourself. So my work is really about like taking people back to their authenticity, taking them back to who they are, but at a soul level, not at a what I believe the world thinks I should be level, but at the deepest core true essence of yourself. So that's basically in a nutshell what I do.
Well, I just called you Magic Lady. I just think
so fine, I'll take that because that's a big part of my work.
So I love your work. I've known we've journeyed together for a long time now. I think you were one of my original members of Connecting the Dots, and when we first met, it was all about sharing your story and basically coming out the weirdo closet, right? I think it's so far removed now from where you are now, from what you were then, like 7 odd years ago. It's like, and I guess there was a lot of people I was working with at the time that just wanted to be seen in the mainstream media and wanted to kind of own that story.
Yes.
I'd love to talk about that to start with and then move through to where we're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, when we met, so I was very much deep in my story of being a starseed and working with like star beings and all of that. And I was already working with the dragons then, but it was kind of like sort of under the surface. So the real thing was about like owning my star connections and all of that. And it was interesting because, to walk up to someone and go, guess what? I'm an Andromedan starseed is a bit fucking mental, right? Like, it's just like, who does that? I mean, you put me in the Daily Mail saying exactly that, and it was the scariest thing I'd ever done. But after I'd done it, I was like, oh, I didn't get burnt at the stake. No one's threatened to kill me. We're all good. I'm okay, right? And then like being able to write my book about my journey to finding this starseed self and like owning it and really being okay with being this complete freaking weirdo and actually really loving that part and seeing that other people resonate with it, right? And then being able to be one of the people who's basically a mouthpiece or a voice for the weirdos out there feels really good, because there's other people keep coming to me and going, oh, thank goodness, because, I was feeling this and you showed me that. And I'm just like, yeah, because we all have these feelings. I mean, my best friend in the whole world, we connected over the fact that she was reading a book about the Pleiades and the Pleiadians. And she's like, I'm so glad I can talk to you. And now we're besties, right? So it's just like, these things it's like all the weird shit. Someone needs to own it so everyone else can own it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
100%. And you're not, and like, it's interesting because, I mean, we met for dinner over Christmas and now we're in groups, we're hanging out in groups of people that just think, yeah, sure. I spoke to this entity the other day and this ghost came in as I was doing my makeup. It's kind of, these are like normal everyday conversations that we have. And I guess even just sort of sharing that, there might be someone listening that goes, oh, I really wish I could find some people that I could talk about this stuff with, because it is I mean, there's always this feeling there is no judgment. Like, if you believe that you speak to dragons, you speak to angels, you speak to fairies, that's amazing. Like, I feel like I don't believe that anybody is making that up.
Mm.
You know, whether it's a version of yourself or whatever. I just love the fact that you're just accepting that somebody connects to something outside of themselves. Or, I mean, for example, we were just chatting offline. My mum, I just got a download. I mean, this is like, for spiritual people, this is how it comes. It just arrives. You're in the shower and this thing, you need to walk this part of the land wearing your mum's shoes.
Yeah.
Tell my husband, like, he's been in this for so long now. He's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. But in the old days, it's like, are you doing your weird voodoo shit? But I'm so grateful for him and his acceptance of the fact that I'll say stuff like that. I mean, your husband's he's quite similar, actually. I think we worked out in that he's your anchor to the earth, perhaps.
It's my reality when I'm not in La La Land.
So tell me a bit about kind of what shame means to you. What that word brings up in you.
So as you say that, it's like shame is like the biggest contraction in my body ever, right? So if I just, like, the minute you say shame and I close my eyes, I'm like, everything just goes in. It's like, it's a word that is almost like placed upon me to put layers of protection around me, right? Because that word and that idea and that feeling, it keeps like my light safe. So I know this sounds weird, but hear me out. So the thing is that my light has been told that it can't shine and it can't do what it needs to do and it can't be as big and as fucking magical as it needs to be. And shame has been the cloak that we get to wear to keep the light in. And so for me, it's just like the minute I take the cloak of shame off, it's like expansion, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what shame for me is, a mechanism and a way that the world has shown us that we're not enough and we can't be seen and like we need to be kept small. So the minute I take that off, I get to be whoever I want to be without worrying, what is that one going to say? What's that one going to do? How am I going to get like stoned to death or burnt at the stake or hung or blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm just like past life. So I'm just like, shit. So that's what shame is to me. It is something that's been placed upon me, but I am in complete control of that. And I'm in complete control of actually dropping the shit. So that's what it means to me.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the whole premise of this podcast. It's unraveling the stories that have kept us hidden, safe. Well, is it safe? I don't know. It's like, I feel like I mean, that for me, what you describe shame as being, it's definitely a blocker to being who you truly are.
Yes.
It's almost like we're constantly chipping away at it as we're walking around that spiral of life. It's kind of, oh, there it is again. Someone's trying to shame me because I'm a weirdo. Or, oh, there it is again because I'm walking. Yeah. And I think the more you surround yourself with people that understand that or have no judgment or are similar or are your tribe, the less that shame cloak is, you're wearing that cloak of shame. I feel very similar about it, actually.
Yeah. And I think there's something there because it's about that perception of safety, right? So like if I feel like my body creates barriers and blocks and like imprints and stuff because it didn't feel safe at one stage. So at some stage, someone somewhere went, Yolandi, you're a weirdo. And I went, oh, and I retracted and I closed up and I built a little wall. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to show that because I don't want someone making me feel like that again. So my physical body starts building these layers of protection and they become part of me, right? So, you know, when we speak about like my heart's not open, my heart's closed, that's what's happening. Like we are building energetic barriers to having that heart stab again, that pain within ourselves. So when we start taking those energetic barriers and we go, actually, you know what, I am safe. And the place to start is in communities where we do feel safe. But I also feel we need to get to the point where we are safe in ourselves and I don't need to rely on my mates to make me feel safe. Yeah. Okay, so that's like the next level, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Because, I mean, as kids, as children, we would have gravitated to people that felt safe.
Yes.
And that would have carried us through into adulthood. And it's like, we were just discussing this before, again, all the nuggets come out. We were just discussing, like, I mean, I'm fresh from a pilgrimage to Glastonbury, and there was 3 of us. You have this amazing work that you do with Karen, who's been on, and Charlie, and you're 3. And what I think where we got to is there's this sisterhood wound that prevents us, well, used to prevent some of us from working together in collaboration and community. And I mean, a few years back, we held a Connecting the Dots retreat where I just got this call we need to be on the land. It was in the middle of the first pandemic. And we were in beautiful yurts. And again, I think there were 6 of us to start with.
I think so. Yeah.
And it was all about coming together around the fire. And I mean, the message I was getting was there is no one leader. Each of us has a different role to play. So my role, for example, was to organize the space. And then there were other people who were holding the space or running sessions or whatever. And it was really, really beautiful. And it's really interesting because I think I felt so connected with that. And I remember having a conversation with one of our wonderful sisters, Kathy, and just thinking, is this enough? And she was like, yes, it's enough. You've done your part. You've played your part. You can enjoy it now. And then we talked about this as around kind of how things have evolved over the years, and how, I mean, I was reading as a like waffling now, coffee, far too much coffee. But we actually created a book off the back of that retreat. And I remember reading your chapter that you wrote around the sisterhood wound, and how there were a few women that were very resistant to coming into that space.
Yeah. And it was like, it's interesting, isn't it? Because the minute we step into the place, and it's just like everything gets reflected back at us. Okay. So it's just like your 10-year-old or your 9-year-old or your 8-year-old self again, where it's just like, are they going to like me? Am I going to be smart enough? Am I going to be pretty enough? Am I going to be this enough? And it was just like this beautiful reflection of like all of our freaking insecurities, like raising their heads, right? And it was so, because we were lucky in that space that we are gentle and kind enough to hold each other. And sometimes that doesn't always happen in some of these spaces. But for me, it was really important to reflect back on the fact that those type of spaces do trigger us. And it does make, like, open it up and go, okay, well, you need to look at this, Yolandi. You need to look at why you're feeling this, like why, and then reassuring myself that it is okay to be so different. It is okay because every single person there is getting something from me and I'm getting something from them. So there's this beautiful exchange of energy. And even if it is triggering or not triggering, there's always an exchange of energy, right? Like, which is for my highest good, for my growth. So that felt really good. So, but I think there's so many spaces. I mean, workplaces, like everywhere you go, right? Like clubs that you belong to, whatever. It's just like people coming together doesn't always feel safe, right? And it's just like that, like needing to find that place in myself where I'm like seeing why I'm not feeling safe. That feels really important as well.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think one thing that I did mention was sometimes I feel, and I'm owning this shame, I feel like I don't have a role. And that was the thing. I now, as you're talking, I'm like, oh yeah, Mum said it's never good in threes. And I think that there was a little story I attached to that when I was a child, because I was always in a threesome. There was me and 2 other girls. And they always seemed so much cooler than me and they had it all together. But then there was me. And it's like, okay, And that's been kind of the shameless story of my life, in that I always thought that I wasn't enough in those situations. So I had to give more and more and more. And it's like, I think that is quite a powerful acknowledgement that actually I was fine just as I was. I was there. They didn't need to be my friend. They didn't have to drag me along to things. It's that sort of, and I remember when we were on that retreat, I remember I was probably channeling my 8 or 9-year-old self. I really feel like I was really in that child energy. We were frolicking about with like alcohol and stuff, but it still was like such fun. It was like so cool. And I just think these little stories or little moments in time, realizing that, oh, actually it's playing out again.
Yes.
I feel like I'm moving through that myself, and I just want to acknowledge that. But I know that, we just talked very briefly about the fact that it's so powerful working in a triad, and actually flipping the narrative around that.
Yes, exactly. And it's like all of this stuff is flipping the narrative, because there's no truth in threes aren't good. Like, who said that? Who made it up? Like, who came up with that? And it's just like this thing. It's just like there's so many freaking narratives that we've been fed, firstly as women coming together, these groups that we do, the things that we're passionate about, all of it. And it's just like, so let's drop back into what is my truth. Okay. Yeah. That might have been your mum's truth, but that's not your truth. Why is it your truth? It isn't your truth, right? Like, so it is the unraveling again every time. Unravel, unravel, unravel. Okay. Mm-hmm. And like, we were talking about my tattoo that I've got. So I've got the Triskele, like the tattoo, right? Well, I can't show it properly, but anyway. So, but it's like, it's the Holy Trinity tattoo for me. And when I got it, I didn't realize why I got it. So I was just like, I need this tattoo, and I put it on my arm. But the more I've been working with the energies of 3, it is literally, for me, it's like the moment I'm looking at mind, body, soul. Okay. So it's the Holy Trinity. So, and then when we start putting things together, you think about Christianity, it's just like mother, father, child, and all of that type of stuff. So, and there's so many historical reflections on that Trinity come together. And so when we start putting our human selves into a Trinity, and we have these different energies of different people coming together, that's freaking powerful. Okay. Yeah. So it's just like, so those spirals of energy of those 3 human beings, for instance, coming together and then like alchemizing and like creating a vortex of brand new energy that we can utilize with all the work that we're doing. So I don't know, there's something really powerful about that, like that triangle, that sisterhood triangles that we are creating at the moment.
And I think it's also really important to stress that I think the thing that I always, so it likens it to a pyramid scheme, right? Pyramids with the top of the top of the triangle, but actually it's laying it flat on the ground and being in complete alignment with each other. Whoa, I just got the shivers.
And it's only because I was having this beautiful conversation this morning with Charlie and Karen in our Project Earthwork group, right? Like we were talking about like connections and stuff. And I was speaking because I'm going to Mexico to do some earthwork later in the year and stuff. And I'm from South Africa. I live in the UK, and then I travel to different parts of the world, right? Like, and then I do like shit there and like bring the energies together. Yeah. But the thing is, like, so all of that, as you said, put it flat, and I'm like, pyramid goes up. That cosmic energy is such a massive part of what we are doing right now as well, right? So we're bringing that cosmic energy down into these triangle structures that we are creating on Earth. And I mean, that's really powerful because that's the energy that we are channeling back into Mother Gaia to get all the grids like lit up and activated and all that good shit. So there's so much magic in that 3. And you've just like, that really just hit.
And as you're talking, I'm seeing where things went wrong in that someone stepped into the middle wanting all the power.
Exactly. Yes. Oh my God. I love that so much because it is exactly that. Like the minute we started creating hierarchy going upwards, it's just like it just trashed everything. Like, hello, patriarchy.
If you gridded like triangles all over the work, like that's the work, isn't it? And that's the thing that came through for me last week, in that I was sitting there and I was like, well, my friend's from Exmoor and my other friend's from Norfolk and I'm from here and we're all from sacred sites. We're actually on ley lands and we're ley lines. We live on ley lines. And it's like, oh. And then I realised that person lives there and that person lives there. And it's like we're all dotted around the country, living on ley lines or living in sacred areas, which are towns and cities, because that's what happened. Like the patriarchy captured and, you know, built cities and towns and the places that were important. Yeah. And it's like, oh yeah. So I'm seeing this whole grid work, like going back into your Project Earth work. It's like, oh, we're all unconsciously doing this.
Yes. But I feel like at this point in time, right, like with everything coming in and all the energies coming in, is that we are more consciously starting to do this, because for such a long time, and I see this with myself all the time, I'm doing shit and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to do what I'm doing. And then boom, you know, the penny drops and I'm like, but now this is what I was doing. So many grid work is we're like now waking up to the story coming together, right? Like the actual, this is what's happening. And this is why we are living where we're living or doing what we're doing. And nothing is coincidence. Everything is connected. There's a reason why you're living and like why you are doing what you're doing. So it's like we are becoming more conscious. And as we are stepping through this veil, because I feel like the veil has also been placed there because of shame and all of that. So as we are removing all the bullshit, we're stepping into seeing more clearly and feeling more clearly and being more clearly. Okay, so then like the whole thing comes together. So it's actually really powerful and magical.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I wanna the dragon, I'm getting a nudge to talk about the dragons.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about working with the dragons. It's funny because you're the third person I've had on here to talk about dragons. So that's not a coincidence either, right?
I love that. And so, man, I don't even know where to start. So there's so much about it. And I feel like I'm just going to go right back to the beginning of time, because for me, when I started working with the energy, it was very powerful, but I was like, what is this about? Like, I don't even understand this. It's like I can feel it and all of that. But when I started speaking to them, it was really about like understanding that this planet was a weaving together of the elemental energies of these beautiful dragons coming from source, and then creating this planet in conjunction with the Great Mother and basically weaving everything together. So you and I are products of the weaving together of the elemental energies of the dragons. Okay, so every single human being on this planet is like here because of how those energies got woven together. And then the evolution of everything happened, and we are sat here today, and we are the human beings that we are. So everything here was evolution that started from that energetic mishmash of water, air, fire, like all of it coming together, and spirit. And then eventually you and I sit here. Okay, so we birthed out of the energies of that.
Yeah.
So when we get to return back to the energies of what the dragons have given us initially, and we start remembering, I am all of this planet, and them, and source, and all of it, then that's where we start to really get back to our soul essence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's super powerful. And I think, again, that's another story that's been created around them being the bad guys, pillaging and stealing gold and getting our women, and the men killing the dragons. I just find it really fascinating, that whole story that's been created about that.
Yeah. And how we can change the essence of something, right? Because for me, even though those are really powerful energies, and they are like, the universe is chaos, right? Like everything was birthed out of chaos, the Big Bang, Earth coming together, all of it. So there's a lot of chaos and destruction, but there's also creation. So destruction and creation are these polarities that go hand in hand. And so when we take one strand of a story and it is the destruction story, we can weave that into whatever we want, right? But we need to like put everything back into balance. And I feel like what we are doing is we're taking those narratives and those stories right now, and we are rewording, rewriting, retelling these original stories, which we never got the opportunity to even connect with because they were just chopped off at the knees because someone needed to sit on a throne and own something and be stronger than that energy. Okay, so these energies are all working together, but the minute that I place someone on top of it, power over, we basically fuck with it. We break it all down.
Yeah. And that, I guess that's another thing that the women would have held. The women were the ones that were holding those circles. They were the priestesses. So again, like leaning into the priestess aspect of yourself and your work. Effectively, one thing that came up around some of the work that I've done is history itself has always talked about Mary and Jesus and disciples. Maid Marian, Robin Hood and his merry men, Guinevere and the Knights of the Round Table. It's like, where's all the other fucking women?
Just one back.
Come on a minute.
anyone, can you see that?
No, that's 3 stories again. Like, I love the number 3. It's like, it's so powerful. Yeah, I mean, yes, we could just talk all day. I'm just wondering, is there anything else that wants to come through before we wrap up?
I'm just feeling into that now because I'm like, because those stories were never told. And so a big part of this, okay, here it is. Okay. So you know how you speak about like Mary Magdalene, and then when I think of her, because she's been pivotal in my own evolution and like how I feel about life and everything. So she for me is part of the lineage of the dragon priestesses that goes right back, right? And there's like these stories that's been woven, and those stories have been stopped. But those stories are woven into the energies of the earth. Those stories are woven into the land underneath our feet. Those stories are woven into the ley lines and all of the things. And as we are moving into this new space, we are tuning back into where we're living, the history, all of that. So think of the earth as a giant repository of really, really amazing stories and information, the stories that were never told by man. And so what we have an opportunity to do now is we have an opportunity to go and reclaim and take those stories out and share them. Okay, so when you hear people like me telling these stories, these like fantastical stories about like dragons and stuff, that's because I've taken that out of the earth and I'm sharing that again. Okay, the women who are making up, and I'm big fat fucking inverted commas here, like, it's just like none of this is made up. We are literally tuning back into the wisdom that's held on this planet, and we are bringing that out. And that is our fucking jobs. Okay, that is why we are unshaming. That's why we are finding ourselves again, because our energy is interwoven into this planet if we allow it to and if we remember. And that's the stories that we need to share.
Yeah. And this, I think just before we jumped on, I was sharing a story around Mary, Queen of Scots, and how we were only, this is the thing, this is the duality, the polarity, whatever you want to call it. We were only ever told the narrative that they wanted us to hear. And you could take that into, real life now. We're only ever shown the narrative that certain individuals, corporations want us to hear.
Yes.
So it's up to us to be discerning in what we're consuming, what we're hearing. And, if you're listening and you don't believe what Yolandi's saying about the dragons, that's fine.
Goodbye. Yeah, you're right.
There will be people that will go, oh, yes, that feels aligned to me, actually, because, we don't know. The thing is, we're never going to know. And that's what I think they count on.
Yeah. Exactly. It's us not trusting what we are feeling, right? And so much of this work and like so much of my work now, it's just like we need to start trusting ourselves, because when I place my hand on that sacred site, when I place my hand on the ground, when I place my hand on my heart, what am I feeling? What am I seeing? What am I experiencing? Because everything is written in the Akash, okay? So like it's woven together. Energetically, everything is available for us. All of the history of all space and time is available for us to tune in, to feel, and to like connect with. So I need to trust myself enough in that moment when I'm doing that to go, this is the story that's truth for me. This is how I'm feeling it. This is how I'm seeing it. And that's why I'm sharing it. So the more you get to trust yourself, the more you can tell the stories and connect with the truths that's underneath your feet and waiting for you.
Boom. I'm boiling. And this is all the coding that's coming out in this call.
Love it.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming on, Yolandi. You know, I love you and I'm so grateful for you joining me today. How can people find you?
So yeah, you can just go to my website, yolandiboshoff.com, and just go check out my work there. I'm on YouTube as well. So I do a lot of videos and podcast as well and all that good stuff. So yeah, just go look for me online, yolandiboshoff.com.
And I mean, I guess one final thing is what can people, when people come and work with you, what can they expect? What is the work that you're offering right now?
It's some deep shit. So I've just launched a new program called Soul Authority, and Soul Authority is really a space, a container that I've created for you to step back into who you really are. So be it like the beautiful oracle or the creatrix or the muse, whoever you are, whatever that blueprint is that's being held within the depth of your body and where your soul resides, this is basically a journey to unravel and let that light shine and find that piece of yourself again. So yeah, that is the most important thing. And I'm still teaching Akashic record readings and I do once-off sessions as well. So that's basically in a nutshell what I'm offering at the moment.
Honestly, the sessions are amazing, people. I've learned how to read the Akashics myself. So through Yolandi's amazing training. So check her out. Thank you again for listening to our episode of Shameless Stories. I hope you received the medicine you needed to receive. And if you have any questions or you want to speak to us about what's been covered off, just get in touch.